Hello, this is Greg Allison, Green Greg's, coming to you on 28 June 22. Time on deck is 16:02 hours Central Daylight Time. My friends, I have to you breaking news, earth-shattering geopolitical quaking news that NATO has now prepared to accept Finland and Sweden as members of NATO. In fact, there was a block that was put in by Turkey that was keeping them from being accepted. But Turkey, Finland, and Sweden have all got together and signed a memorandum of agreement, which paves the way for Finland and Sweden to join NATO. Now, I'm going to show you in a minute why this is earth-shattering and geopolitical quaking news. So just buckle up, guys. If you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe, bang the update notification bell, and click all, because I'll bring you stories that help you keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel to know what's coming at us. This is my proposition: survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. Many stories, many things coming up, and quite often I do get to bring you breaking news. This is breaking news. Now, my friends, this may ratchet up the tensions for war between Russia and America, which on the downside could go negative. It could go into something that would cause Russia to take actions, or other countries. It may deprive us of our power grid, be the EMP be they strikes of hacking, or be they strikes of people actually attacking the transformer stations themselves. So of course, there's that full-blown risk of potentially World War III, nuclear war. And these kind of things may make it bigger, or maybe they help contain it. We want to go into that in just a second. But my friends, in the meantime, I highly urge you to do everything you can to prepare yourself, get the beans and rice, and can your food. But remember that glass jars are a little hard to bury. And on that note, you can buy this from prepwithgreg.com. We have these food supplies here that last 25 years, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This bucket has 2 weeks supply, and it absolutely will carry you 2 weeks, 2,000 calories a day, more than the competitors offer. Is a wide range of meals, and is lightweight, so it's easy to bug out with. Your kids can carry these. You can put them in all kind of vehicles to bug out with. And these nice containers, this one's already broke open, are sealed. You can bury these. They're durable, and the buckets have great use later. And the food comes in these nice pouches that you can put in your backpack and easily carry. That right there is 4 servings for an adult. 4 adult servings right there in that one pouch, easy to carry in your backpack. So you just got to be able to know how to supply your water, which I cover in a video on many uses for sterilizing and purifying and sanitizing your water. Okay. prepwithgreg.com. Right now you get $150 off if you go to prepwithgreg.com for a 3-month supply, $50 off of a 4-week supply. All right, enough said about that. Let's have a look-see at just why Russia is extremely upset right now. I mean, why this makes a huge geopolitical difference. And whether you're on Russia's side or not, it's the same in terms of what this means strategically. And I am going to share it with you, and this might blow your socks off, because we're going to start right on a Russian military base with bombers. And here we go. Give me 1 second. Hit the share. Bada bing, bada bang, and we're there. Guys, look at these. Ding, 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 ding. These look like bear bombers. I think there's a good chance of that. These are bombers. These are the feared Russian bombers right here, all lined up. This is not a civilian airport with all these planes. This is way out of where you would put a lot of aircraft, my friends, because this is near Murmansk, excuse me. This is near Murmansk. And in this area, Russia has all kinds of strategic facilities, nuclear facilities for nuclear launched aircraft, for bombers, for missiles, naval facility here. You can see the docks. This is a huge Russian military complex in this area. Look at all this stuff. This is not a commercial port facility. These are These are right here, warcraft. See, warships down here. These are not commercial ships, my friends. You don't see ISO ship containers on these ships. Look at barracks, facilities. This whole area is a big military complex. And this whole area is now in great jeopardy right now, in case there'd be a war with NATO. Just all kind of stuff up in here, guys. All kind of supplies, ships, bunkers here, looks like. Yeah, this is a huge military industrial complex, bomber complex. This place has got it all for the Russian military. Is that a rocket launch pad? Yeah, it looks a lot like one. I'm not sure, but yeah, maybe not. Oh, highly suspicious looking. Guys, they got all kind of highly suspicious looking stuff up here. Let me 2D this. Definitely some kind of, probably some military complex, radar site or something. Guys, this whole area up in here is huge, intense military establishment for the Russians. There's an airfield. There's an airfield. These are big airfields. Got this big river coming up here north, going into here. Now, the problem is this is not really a warm weather. This is not really an ice weather naval base, because they get all this ice here on the north side of Norway in the wintertime. This is why they like to be able to get in and out of warmer ports like Kaliningrad here. But guys, look at this. Here is a situation with Murmansk. They've got one road and one rail line that lead out through here for miles and miles and miles and miles. One road, one rail line. Let's see if we can find it. That's it right there. I believe. And what you put up the boundaries in here too. The problem with their one road, one rail line that leads for miles and miles up into Murmansk, which is strategic forces, Russian strategic nuclear forces, naval, air force, and missile forces are all up in here. Well, they go up through not next to Finland for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. And Finland has got a long border here with Russia. And this is all forest. All special forces could come through here anywhere and destroy that roadway, the bridges, i.e., this would be extremely easy to cut off the overland access to Murmansk. And given that the sea is cut off much of the year, the only way they'd have in and out is air. And it's also, given the proximity to Finland and Sweden, if they're NATO nations, any air transports might get taken out easily. This whole area could easily now be taken out. So Russia could, in effect, lose major strategic military base here, or at least it's guaranteed access to. It's at risk. Let's put it that way. This base, this center of Russia is at risk. Now, what you got to consider too is Russia ostensibly started the invasion of this nation here. Their special purpose military operation, as they call it, for the purpose of ensuring NATO wouldn't be closer to the motherland. Well, it seems to have backfired, because now NATO is all over the motherland. And like y'all remember, I taught y'all in the previous video that Russia's aim all along was to have strategic depth to keep Russia or any potential invasion force far away from Moscow, and that there were really just certain routes along here that invasion forces could reliably follow, and those were gaps that Russia wanted to plug, that this was part of their grand overall strategy. Well, this just suddenly backfired, because now Russia has a much bigger border with them than they would have other had. Finland and Sweden were not inclined to want to join NATO until Russia invaded Ukraine. This got them scared, so scared that they were willing to cut deals with Turkey. Turkey says, no, y'all can't join NATO. You've got membership of groups that support the Kurds. There's Kurdish groups that you support that we can't have because Turkey does not want to let Kurdistan be the rightful nation that it ought to be. Okay, so Turkey has been a Turkey and sticking their nose in things to maintain their autocratic control, and I'm not a fan of that. If you read what I'm saying here, but in any event, they were holding up the approval of Finland and Sweden joining based on that. But now they have. But this is even bigger. Not just is Murmansk at risk. Not only are they at risk. Not only is there a new long border between NATO, directly between NATO and Russia, which not only is there the ability to cut off Murmansk, but now with Sweden in this and Finland, the Baltic Sea becomes a NATO pond. In Kaliningrad, this little Russian exclave out here, all by itself, wedged between Poland and Lithuania, is now really at risk. Now, well, let's make Russia more inclined to want to invade and put a corridor into Kaliningrad. I will probably do another story on that real soon because there's a lot of stuff coming out on this where Russians are talking about actually making plans to do just that, which would put them going through Lithuania, which would be an invasion or an attack on a NATO nation, which would start World War III. Now, so I've got some really good friends that say, oh, Russia would never do that. Well, maybe they won't, but they're certainly working plans to do just that. And why would they do that? Well, because Kaliningrad is very important to them in the overall strategic sense of things. And they may think that NATO wouldn't really fight over the Baltic states. They've said that in the past. They did not think that NATO would come in to defend the Baltic states because it'd be so hard to reach. Of course, now with all these other NATO nations around, not so hard. So again, this weighs against Russia on a strategic scale in so many ways. This tips the scale. This sets back everything that Putin had aimed to accomplish by taking of Ukraine is totally backfired because let me show you something else, guys. A lot of you are saying, oh, Greg, come on. But we were pushing NATO all up on Russia and they had to do this right now. Well, let me show you something else. Let's do another share. Let's look at, halo, let's look at what NATO expansion really was and where it's been and why that's a bit of a hollow argument. You're going to say, no, Greg, no, wait, you see this chart, guys. Just hang on. Hold your britches. Hang on. This is going to surprise you a little bit. Share. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. I want to find this on. Here we go. Why does that move on me? Oops. Stop share. What happened there? Close that. Reshare. Well, I'll just go to this. I pulled this out of Wikipedia. This is easier to show that I haven't scrolled through. This shows the NATO expansion that's been occurring all up to 2020. Yeah, look, Greg, this expansion up to 2020. Yep, those new NATO nations, the last sets, are not pushing up against Russia. I mean, Russia's right here. This is the Russian border. I mean, actually, only two NATO countries, two Baltic states, Estonia and Latvia, border Russia. And they're tiny states. So they in and of themselves don't pose any kind of threat to Moscow to speak of. But when you start, now that you put in all of this, now Moscow is going to be concerned. Now, that's not, NATO's not going to be invading Russia unless Russia has got war crimes to prosecute. I don't know now. But, you know, it would be nuts to invade a nuclear power. But look at this. So, Greg, look, they're expanding all over Russia. I see one of them. But look at this. 2004. That's 18 years ago. For 18 years, there have been no nations near to Russia that have joined NATO for 18 years. You get this? Let me repeat that. That's almost the entire reign of Putin, you know. Well, maybe not, but it's a long time. 18 years. It has been 18 years since a NATO nation was added near to Russia. And a couple of them were added in, you know, and see, and these aren't even directly against Russia. I mean, they got Belarus here. Belarus used to be called Yellow Russia, by the way. And here's Ukraine, Moldova, Yeah, Greg, but Ukraine was about to join. Ukraine's application was not accepted, and it was dubious and was going nowhere because Ukraine still had a whole lot of things to punch out in terms of conflict. You know, we were not accepted country that was in conflict, and they were already in conflict, and they had to pass a lot of corruption stuff that Ukraine just wasn't able to pass at that time. So Ukraine's application was dubious. It was not anything that was just about to happen. It is Moscow. It is Putin, the one that got the ants in his pants. And Ukraine didn't invade itself. It didn't invade Russia. Russia invaded Ukraine. And I gave y'all many times the reasons why this happened. And I talked about the plugging the gaps in the strategic depth that Russia was trying to get, because they've had the history of being invaded some 50 odd times, and all these invasions came through certain paths, choke points that they wanted to stave off. That was the goal of Peter the Great. It was the goal of all the oligarchs and leaders of Russia from way back. Catherine the Great. And I'll explain, and Putin himself has explained how he was trying to replicate the works of Peter the Great, basically to rebuild the Russian Empire. So he's told us why he wanted to make these expansions. So there you go, my friends. This is the map. This comes straight out of Wikipedia. Well, now these nations right here are going to be joining NATO. This makes a huge, big difference. You see the original NATO countries in the darkest blue here, which included Norway. Norway's been in the get-go. And Denmark, that's how we get Iceland. Well, Iceland's been in it. And Greenland. We needed Greenland. Turkey was like the next country in. And, you know, we mounted Redstone. We mounted the actual, I won't say Redstone, Jupiter C rockets in Turkey that precipitated the Cuban Missile Crisis, by the way. And when we had the Cuban Missile Crisis, we quietly took those rockets out of Turkey. Of course, they weren't as close to Moscow as Cuba was, you know, the United States, at least for Florida. So there you go, my friends. This is the picture, but it goes a little bit beyond this. There's a little bit more that y'all need to know, and that is as follows. The President Medvedev, excuse me, the prior President Medvedev of Russia has said that, in essence, he said this Monday, he said that any intrusion by NATO on Ukrainian territory annexed by Russia would have catastrophic consequences. And basically, he is really talking about Crimea more than anything. He said, for us, Crimea is part of Russia, and that means forever. Any attempt to encroach on Crimea is a declaration of war against our country. And if it is done by a NATO member state, this means a conflict with the entire North Atlantic Alliance, a World War III, a complete catastrophe. I've told you many times that Russia would actually fight a nuclear war to maintain Crimea. And why is that? Well, because like I said before, Russia is wanting for warm water ports, and Crimea is a major naval base. I mean, the only warm water ports that Russia has on this side of the world, you know, they got shoot, can't say it right now. The one over there that China wants on the eastern, western, on the eastern side of Siberia, Vladivostok. Man, it's hard for me to say this. They've got that, and that gets them the Pacific Ocean. Kaliningrad, which is now really in dubious procurement, gets them through here. But look, they got to pass through all these NATO countries to get in and out of there. Kind of hard for them to sneak in and out. They got this base up here in Murmansk, but it's hard. They can't get in and out much when there's ice, so maybe submarines. So, guys, Murmansk is now at risk. That's really going to put them on edge. There is Tyre off of a little naval base they got here, Tyre off of Syria. This is why Russia's defended al-Assad of Syria, is because they had a naval base there. It gave them direct access to the Mediterranean. Their main warm water bases on this side are in Crimea, but they do have to transit through the Bosphorus Strait here that's controlled by Turkey, which is a NATO member. But Turkey is kind of fickle. Turkey sometimes deals with Russia, sometimes they deal with us, and sometimes they hold up NATO nations. as we were seeing with Finland and Sweden. So guys, it's happened. How's this going to shake out? I don't know, my friends. Let me stop this share. We don't know. What's going to be the consequences? Where is this going to roll? What is going to happen next? You tell me. The comments below. What's going to be the next shoe to drop? How will Russia react to this? What are they going to do? You know, Putin is furious. All of his generals are furious. They're furious at NATO. A lot of them are probably furious at Putin because this would not have happened. Finland wanted to remain neutral, so did Sweden. But this thing with Ukraine really got them upset. It really got them scared. So scared they were willing to change their policies for how they dealt with those Kurdish organizations. Basically, they had to expel them, which was against their overall policy, how they treated people. But that's how important they felt it was to them. Now, Lithuania is kind of laughing off the Russian threats of aggression against them. But Latvia and Estonia go, oh, this is real. You know, they're seem to be quaking over the whole thing. So the Baltic states have been worried, would NATO come in for the support of them? Well, it'd be a whole lot easier for NATO to do that now with Finland and Sweden in the alliance. So this puts the whole Nordic sphere within NATO, except for the Russians. I remember the Kiev Rus, as it was originally known, when Kiev was actually the capital of Russia. We're an offshoot Nordic tribe. They were a Viking organization originally, but they've evolved somewhat differently over time. So just as the Vikings were Germanic at some point prior to that. So, you know, the Anglo-Saxons, the Germans, the Vikings, all related in reality. But the feuds therein amongst are very serious. Okay, my friends, bear in mind, we are facing some very serious times. Prep, get ready. Tell your kids and your family that you love them. You should always do that anyway. You never know when there'll be a car accident or just anything. When you may never see somebody again, your entire life can change in the snap of a finger. It's always important to tell those you love them. But get ready, prep. I say hope for the best, hope and pray for the best, and prep for the worst. Because the times that we're coming into are very much uncertain. Russia's moving a lot of troops into Belarus right now, a lot of them out of different areas. They are bringing in other troops to the situation. What's to happen in Ukraine is very much open. I'm going to talk about that more in the future. And I got some stuff I could talk about right now, but that's enough for right now. Right now, the sub is the breaking news: Finland and Sweden to join NATO. Huge, big difference. Anyway, what's it going to mean? Does this ratchet up the prospects for war? Does it tamp them down? Or does it make the war more winnable for NATO? If it happens, maybe more certain, but more winnable. You tell me. Comments below. Be looking forward to it. And, you know, I think we'll have some interesting comments. So everybody want to check them out. Do that. Do comment and let us know what you think. Give me a thumbs up if you can. My channel has been held down by the network. So help me out, guys. Share this video, because this is breaking news. With that, I'm saying, Greg out.